The Big Bang. So once upon a time, pretty much at the beginning of time actually, at least as far as the type of time we're used to, there was a very little bang. It was so little, in fact, it didn't exist. And then all of a sudden, boom, here's a big bang that just explodes out of the nothingness and leads ultimately to you and I, billions of years later, looking at each other through these little digital screens. And what the heck does that have to do with music? Well, how does a guitar string work? Or better yet, how does an electric guitar pickup work? Or wait, obviously a drum is a better analogy. And also, how does sound work? And what even is sound? Who am I? And what are we doing here? Well, you're watching Music Spirituality with me, Jake Pardee, where we'll discuss our lives with music, how it helps us form deep connections to ourselves, each other, and indeed the entire cosmos. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, because we're here to talk about ideas about music and spirituality and how they're related. So let's begin to look into a fascinating subject, the beginning of time and how it relates to music, with our first investigation into the Big Bang. Alright, so some background information about what I'm referring to as the Big Bang. Scientists have gotten a lot of things wrong over the years, but I think we can all agree that they got one thing absolutely right, and that was naming this scientific theory. All you need to know about it, as far as we're concerned, is in the title. Heck of a name, heck of a concept. And hold up. If the theory of the Big Bang is at odds with the concepts of creationism, does covering a scientific theory in our very first investigation mean I'm not really going to be inclusive of different religious practices? And by covering the Big Bang, aren't I excluding the possibility of alternate theories? Like, perhaps the world is in fact a disk world, suspended on the backs of giant elephants atop an even more gigantic flying turtle cruising through outer space. No. So let's start here and see where it leads. Just like listening to a new style of music, you gotta open your ears and give it a chance. So the Big Bang Theory, the way it works is that it started at the center point of a universe that didn't exist. And I think that's pretty cool. The center of a non-existent universe. What a place to be, and what a time to be alive. Except it wasn't really a place, and there certainly wasn't anything alive. And what was there before the Big Bang? I don't know. So, according to the theory, the universe began as a small, hot, and dense ball of energy that was smaller than the size of an atom. About 13.8 billion years ago, this ball of energy suddenly exploded outward, starting the process of expansion that continues to this day. And as the universe expanded, it cooled down, and all the stuff started sticking together, which eventually led to the formation of galaxies, stars, and planets. Do you ever think about the connection between the vibrations in the cosmos and the vibrations of music? If it all comes from one source, it's all part of the continuation of that source, right? So you have all these planets that are forming after a super long time, and things coming together and crashing into each other, and particles combine, and lots of chemical reactions that I don't fully understand. All of that's gonna happen, and all the stuff that everything is made out of in the universe moves away from each other and then combines together again in all sorts of different ways. And that's an awful lot like a great piece of music, isn't it? There are themes that keep coming back. There are voices and lines that combine, then diverge, and then resonate with each other. So it's like the great piece of music that is existence starts on beat one with the Big Bang. And I like to think the whole first movement is extremely tumultuous. It's like an overture of massive dissonance. And fair enough, this is kind of poetic and complicated because sound needs air to propagate within, so I don't know if there could be a cosmic listener in this big universe as sound analogy. Is it an analogy? Is it just what happened? So anyways, the first movement is undoubtedly grand and probably loud and dissonant, And then there must have just been the longest ambient movement of all time. So if you're a fan of cinematic textures and really slow, expressionistic ambient guitar pedal noises, there was definitely several billion years worth of great stuff in there for you to check out. Not that it's all been quiet, because of course suns are blazing, planets are crashing into each other, and then in a little back alley in a rough part of the universe, a new club opens up that promises to be the most happening place around, and it's called Earth. And what happens on Earth is what Alan Watts refers to as the planet peopling, just like in apple tree apples. And so what he was talking about was when you look at an apple tree and it produces apples, what's really happening is that an apple tree naturally produces apples because it's part of its chemistry. It's part of its purpose and its function, and its form dictates the fact that it'll create apples. So an apple tree apples and an earth peoples. And peoples musics. So you could see it as the Big Bang created Earth and Earth created people. And people are all jamming out. But it's all part of one long continuous process of chemical mix-up applied over a long period of time. Now the great thing about remembering the Big Bang when you go to pick up your instrument or to drop the needle on a record is to remember that there was a singular moment that everything was all together at the same time. Which means that in many ways, life itself and all the time in existence is like one massive cosmic musical performance. The Big Bang was the needle dropping on the album that spontaneously creates itself into infinity that we call the universe. So let's take a moment to connect the scientific theory, a Buddhist concept, and music into a universal thought experiment. We've established that the Big Bang is a good way to understand intellectually that everything, at least from a physical perspective, is interconnected, since it all started together in a singular spot nearly 14 billion years ago. Now, in Buddhism, there's the concept of dependent origination. Buddhists believe everything is interconnected and our actions impact the world around us. And because what we do sends ripples of causation, the world we are living in today and how we perceive it is the result of all the past conditions and choices of other beings. Okay, so those seem to be pretty similar. The Big Bang suggests that everything started together and is spread out, and all the same stuff that was in the beginning is kind of just changed into other things and what appears like other different things. And well, that seems pretty close to the Buddhist idea of interconnectedness. Now, whether we'll experience rebirth and suffer along the wheel of samsara until we attain enlightenment is a topic for another video, but let's look at impermanence in music for a second. Everything is always changing. The physical world, our bodies, our feelings, nothing stays the way it seems today forever, from a physical perspective anyways. So then, what is music altogether? It seems to be a continuous thread on Earth, going a super long time back. Birds are singing, people are singing, whales are singing. We know music evolves and changes over time. Any artist you love definitely sounds different than they did last year. You wouldn't have thousands of people following Fish across the country night after night if they sounded exactly the same way every night. So music keeps evolving, and our involvement with it is always changing. Sometimes a song speaks to us, and another day it doesn't mean anything. We're changing, music is evolving, and the whole thing keeps on going. So when we approach listening to music or creating music ourselves, I think it can be useful to remember that harmony, resonance, and organization are happening at all times. And what we're really looking to do is to listen and to be a part of it. When you hear a bird call or you're singing in the shower, you can keep in mind that what you're doing is being a part of the musical thread on Earth, an uninterrupted stream of vibration we keep tapping into, being creative with, and that started long before us and continues long after we're gone. When I play with a band and things are really happening, I'm listening to the other musicians, and on a good night, I can hear exactly how I can fit into the groove that they've already got going. So in many ways, life itself is a musical experience because we need to listen to one another, to be in tune, and contribute in a way that encourages harmonious expression. And when the aliens come, I want them to really think that we've got it all together. I think listening to music can be very powerful because the resonance excites us molecularly and then establishes a rhythm. And I have a sneaking suspicion that when we do get in touch with aliens and other life in other parts of the universe, that they're going to think that the music of Earth is really funky, and they're going to love it, and we're going to love their music. So whether we're talking about different people or cultures, different belief systems, or indeed even different planets, whether we like it or not, we are a part of a great network of space and time, and music flows through the whole thing. The most exciting and practical part of the Big Bang Theory, in the way that it relates to the music of my life, is the fact that everything, every single atom you've ever seen or interacted with, and way beyond all that, its physical manifestation began all together. And life, as we know, is played out over time. And music is played out over time. So it's like we are all living as one big cosmic piece of sheet music. Is God the composer? Are we living in a simulation? You tell me. I'm enjoying the music of Earth, and I like to hear all music and all sound as expressions of the universe itself. A universe that, from at least the theory of the Big Bang, has a singular origin story. So it's not even like we're all just in one big cosmic band. We're not even in one big cosmic instrument. We are the living, breathing music itself, made manifest by our vibrations and resonance with everything else. So thanks for watching, and join us next week. Next week we'll be looking at Taylor Swift and the nature of suffering.